Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 89 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. This week we've got some emails, some comments. We've got some shave of the days. We've got an ode to coffee, a little mixed in there with all that stuff. There's some hints and tips and just, well, general carryings on. So, all in all, it's been a good week. This week has been a week, well, of straight razors. I have spent the whole week using nothing but and living around and existing with straight razors. And it has actually been an enjoyable experience. No bloodletting or sliced off ears or playing Van Gogh or anything like that. It has actually done very, very nicely. So we talk about that because, well, that's what we do here. Talk about shave of the days and things in general. So anyhow, let's start off with these letters and comments, and then, well, let's get on with this show. So I got an email from Douglas Smythe, none other than after last week's show, and he says, "Hey, hope everything's well. Just wanted to let you know and to say that Gondo and Speakeasy are two different animals. Get your nose fixed." Well, yeah, I will admit it. Yes, my nose is broke. I really can't tell the difference, to be quite honest. And unfortunately, my wife's is even worse. But that's why I don't make soaps. And so I told him I'd lay off them a little bit and check back on them later. And in fact, I did. And I went upstairs, I grabbed them, and I opened them up and I smelled them one at a time. For about 30 seconds, yes, indeed, they smelled different. They really, really did. And it was like, whoa, okay, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, they just, bam. It's like my nose just shut down, and they smelled the same again. All I could smell is bergamot. It's like, okay, so I know that there's a difference between the two of them. I know that. But If my nose shuts off after 30 seconds or a minute or so, I'm sorry, I can't tell the difference. I'm just being honest. So anyhow, he wrote back, because I sent him that, and I said, hey, this is what's going on. And he said, yeah, he said, it happens to me after a couple hours in the soap lab. And he did mention that you can kind of clean out your nose with some fresh ground coffee, which is always a good idea. I mean, fresh ground coffee, it doesn't matter what's going on, is, well, a good idea. Anyhow, he said he'd be listening, and it was an enjoyable conversation. So all good. And yes, Speakeasy and Gondolier are in fact two completely different soaps. I just can't tell after about 30 seconds. Got another email from Joe out there at Homesteadonomics YouTube channel, and he said, just wanted to let you know that I got another shaving-related video up. It's a shave shelf that's made from pallet wood. Now, if you haven't checked out Joe's channel, he does a lot of stuff, and he makes a lot of stuff with pallet wood. And, he goes on to say, nothing fancy as usual, just pallets and a couple other household items, and I will put the link in the show notes. So I went and I took a look at his video. Well, he did an excellent job on a very, very nice shelf. Couple of shelves, a glass fronted door, and a towel rack from a place to put his strop. All in all, really, really good stuff. Stained up beautifully. I mean, if you have access to some woodworking tools, it's amazing what you can do with pallet wood. Anyhow, I will put the link in the show notes, and Joe, as always, great to hear from you, and good job. So I got a comment on my YouTube channel from 001001, and this is in regards to episode 81, where I talked about the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements double open comb razor and my experience with it. He says, wow, I really could not disagree more with regards to the PAA double open comb razor. Having purchased one with the intent that it be an introductory razor for my son, I found it to be both smooth and efficient. Your description of its performance is completely contrary to my own experience. Not only did I find that it gave an exceptional shave, but that the oral feedback was incredible. My daily driver is a Mercure HD, but I have a soft spot for the Gillette Techs as well as the older Aristocrats, and I can say with all frankness that the PAA double open comb is the mildest while most efficient razor of the lot. While your mileage may vary is always apt, I would suggest that anyone wondering about the PAA double open comb should search a little deeper to see what others think. I should, for the sake of full disclosure, state that I am a bi-daily shaver with sensitive skin. Okay, first off, the PAA double open comb is an absolutely gorgeous razor. And I did find it to be very, very mild. It is a very mild razor. In fact, I found it to be too mild for me. I enjoy a razor that is a little bit more aggressive. I have tried since shimming the razor and putting one double-edged blade thickness of shim in it, and that helped. But again, for me, and I've always stated this, for me, it didn't work real well. Okay, so with all that said, first off, I have to agree 100% with 001001. You should always search around for other opinions. I'm just one guy, okay? I am not an expert. I am not well, as the term has been going around, I am not shave royalty. I'm just one guy. And the thing is that with every single individual, and I don't care who it is, when it comes to shaving equipment, especially, what works well for me may be an absolutely miserable experience for someone else. Now, when I started this podcast, I made a decision that all I was going to do was tell you about my journey. I wasn't going to try to tell you what to buy or what to get. I was just going to tell you my experience. It's like a couple of friends sitting across from each other at a bar, drinking a beer, talking about shave-related stuff. That's how I view this. So it doesn't bother me that someone says, I don't agree. That's cool. I'm good with that. In fact, if it works for you, great. I'm happy. I truly am. I am very happy for you because it is a gorgeous razor. Just having it around makes me feel good. That's quite honestly why I haven't sold mine yet. Because I like the way it looks. I just wished it worked better for me, but it doesn't for me. Again, search out other people's opinions. Go out and try one for yourself. Now, the problem is that some of these things can get a little expensive. Now, the PAA double open comb is not one of them. It's actually a razor at a really good price. So you can afford to experiment a little bit. And the other nice thing is that if it doesn't work out for you, you can go on some of the buy, sell, trade areas and pretty much unload it immediately. I mean, it's not that hard because there's a lot of people that like them and that want them. And again, that's what makes this hobby so absolutely fantastic because it is exceedingly personal. So 001001, thank you very much for the comment. I do actually greatly appreciate it. I got an email from Matthew. It says, hello. From Monday to today, May 18th through 20th, I've listened to episodes 12 through 20, 20 being the red pill or blue pill one. I agree, but I'm also a bit freaked out. Probably 6 months or so ago, I ordered Sweet Maria's coffee because I heard an ad for the website and thought it'd be cool to try and see if it was better. It was enjoyable to try, though didn't grab me too much. I'll likely continue to roast coffee occasionally for years to come. My wife quite enjoyed the coffee I made. Probably about 2 months ago, I got into fountain pens because I'd always wanted to try calligraphy. and kind of sidestepped into fountain pens from there. I have 2 decent ones, 3 more on the way to try, and looked up great inks to try and buy over time. About a month ago, my electric shaver broke. The damn foil tore, taking a gash out of my upper lip. I was never happy with electric razors, and I was always curious about wet shaving, so instead of buying a replacement, I picked up a Gillette Mach 3 and a Gillette canned shave gel. It was pleasant enough. A week later, I ordered a set from Harry's Razors. Hearing their ads often on many of the podcasts I frequent, actually kind of disappointed with their 5-blade versus the Mach 3 3-blade. A week ago, I picked up a Vanderhagen shave set, bore, brush, soap, bowl, and stand at my local grocery store, and quite enjoy using a shaving brush. A couple of days ago, I picked up a Taylor of Bond Street Rose shaving cream, which is very nice, and after my next paycheck, I figure I'll grab a Mercure 43C razor, recommended by Shaving 101 website as a good choice for first-time DE shavers. So yeah, a little eerie to hear you rattle off all of those same interests, though I'm guessing 5 to 10 plus years head start on me, especially on the topic of the red pill versus the blue pill. In the vein of great minds think alike, have you ever watched How It's Made on the Science Channel? I can't get enough of that show myself. If not, you should try an episode. Okay, well, Matthew, yeah. What I have found is there are a lot of wet shavers that kind of gravitate toward fountain pens, roasting your own coffee, wet shaving, of course, and mechanical watches. It's just kind of one of those things. Oh, and knives and axes and sharp things in general. It's just one of those things. It's almost like it's a brotherhood that goes way, way beyond just wet shaving. It's almost like there's a kindred spirit in folks that just kind of takes you off into these different nuances of, I don't know, things that are interesting. And it's great that you're into all this stuff. It really is. Hopefully you don't have twitches from listening to all those episodes at once. I don't necessarily recommend it. It's probably something that's best if you take it a little bit at a time. Anyhow, Matthew, thank you very much for the letter. Great hearing from you. Well, good morning. It is kind of an overcast day, but a nice day. We have woken up, and that is a good thing. Any day that you wake up, take a breath, put your feet on the ground so that you are in fact ventilating and vertical, it is a good day. After that, who knows? But for the start anyhow, it's a pretty good day. And then, just to make things better, we had the shave of the day. Okay, so the shave of the day today. And in fact, I've done this shave of the day with just one minor change the last couple of days. And that is, I have been shaving with one of my straight razors, my Gold Dollar straight razor, as a matter of fact. And I thoroughly enjoy that thing. So lathered up some Basilica from Queen Charlotte Soaps, which goes way back to the beginning of the podcast, because the first soaps that I ever used way back when I got into wet shaving and using actual shaving soaps was Queen Charlotte, and my absolute favorite, just because of the smells and scents and memories and everything else, is Queen Charlotte Soap Basilica. Okay, so Basilica. It's got very much a frankincense and myrrh type smell. It smells like the inside of a church, okay? Not just any church, a cathedral at Christmas with frankincense and myrrh and pomp and circumstance and when I was growing up, I lived in a big, big city. And the church that I went to was in fact, the church that my mom went to was a cathedral. And we had just that kind of pomp and ceremony and incense burners and everything else. Anyhow, I was an altar boy. And so I spent many a Sunday and other days of the week at the church, helping out as best I could with the services and doing the incense and everything else. And I did that for a lot of years, and so it brings back memories of a happier time. It's maybe not happier, but let's see, a different time, a time when I didn't have a whole lot to worry about. Might not have been any happier, but a little bit less things that were out there that could stress me. How about that? That's the best way to put it. Because I'm thoroughly happy now, trust me. Anyhow, so it's just kind of for me a walk down memory lane, and that's something that I haven't talked about for a while, but it is one of the reasons that I personally just enjoy greatly the wet shaving hobby, if you will, because I get an opportunity to play with soaps and aftershaves that have particular scents that are just they're memory enhancers. Okay, so don't know if you realize this or not, and if you've heard this before, I'm sorry, but there are some new listeners, and they need to know this. The scent memory that you have is much stronger and much more focused than just about any other memory system, whether that's visual, tactile, taste, whatever. Your nose and the memories associated with things that you smell is the strongest memory that a human being has. And so the ability to have a soap that has a certain smell that can, promote those memories and make you recall things and bring to mind certain instances or, in fact, certain times of your life, well, that's a powerful thing. And it's also a lot of fun. So for me, Basilica is a trip down the olfactory memory lane, and the scent is just, well, for me, fabulous. And so far, I have not found a scent that is quite the same. I know that there's a couple others that do like frankincense type or myrrh incense type scents, and then I haven't gotten my hands on one yet. I haven't found one yet. I think Mama Bear makes one, but don't know. So I'll keep looking. But for right now, it's Basilica. So lathered up the Basilica, and yesterday it was with the 1305. Today it was with the Plisson. Oh, on another note, the Plisson. The problem that I had, okay, first off, I love the knot on the Plisson. I do enjoy the synthetic knot. It is as soft as just like nothing. It really feels almost ethereal when you're lathering up your face with a Plisson. It's really nice. Very, very soft. It's like the epitome of softness. Okay. So I bought this thing way back when, at full price, mind you, before they went on sale, and they have since been on sale. I think they're about $30 now or thereabouts, but I paid full price back in the day when it was about $50 or $55. And quite honestly, it was one of the more expensive brushes that I had. Okay, or that I have. But so the problem that I had with it is the paint or the finish, and it looked like a dipped finish, so it was a little bit thicker on the bottom, chipped off. Okay, now I routinely hang this brush. Okay, so I have a little stand for it, and I routinely hang it, and so I don't set it down on the bottom of the handle. So there was really no reason for excess moisture to build up and swell the wood and cause the finish to, chip off. So I was a little miffed by that. Now, I have since used my brush, and I don't get the handle wet. I don't soak the brush. I hang the brush up. So this is literally just off of the humidity that occurs naturally in a bathroom environment with a shower in it, and, it is what it is. Okay, so I had the finish on the bottom. There was a chip that came out of it that was, I don't know, a sliver that was maybe an eighth of the surface area that kind of chipped off. So looking at it, about half of the remaining finish is bubbled up, blistered up, and ready to be knocked off at a moment's notice. And I look at that and think, okay, this is just a humidity thing. So is it the paint itself, the finish itself, that is the the ruination of this brush handle? Or is it in fact the cheap base wood that is moving around and swelling and everything from the moisture and then drying out every day that happens when people take showers in there? Don't know, but it was one of those things that was rather annoying, just to I guess finish off my my annoyance level at the handle on my Plisson brush. So maybe this weekend what I'll do is I'll take a chisel and get the rest of the finish off the bottom and sand it down and say, okay, I'm done. Because the wood down there on the bottom is actually rather dark. It's been stained by the finish and everything, so it wouldn't look too out of place or too awful bad. It's just, hopefully it won't continue to chip and flake all the way up the handle. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Okay, so lathered up in the old salsa bowl with basilica and the Plisson brush today, 1305 yesterday. Everything's good. Lather's just absolutely fantastic. The smells that fill the bathroom are wonderful. Make me need to have a few candles lit or something like that, just to complete the atmosphere of the inside of a church cathedral or something. Have some Gregorian chants in the background or something. I don't know, but it was just really, really cool. Anyhow, the razor of choice was my gold dollar, and a lot of people diss gold dollars. It's a good starter razor. It really is. I enjoy it. I enjoy the heft of it. It's one of the red-handled gold dollar razors, and it's got a nice round tip, and so far, I've been doing okay with it. It gives a reasonable shave. It's very nice and sharp, and I have actually used it not only to learn techniques with straight razors over time, but I have also learned the stropping techniques with it. And so to a certain extent, I can judge my ability to strop by the sharpness while I shave. And so it's a multitasking training tool, really, which is, well, kind of neat. And for the price, my gosh, it's you really can't go wrong. And now this one had been honed by Bill T. While he was still doing that, and so, a properly honed razor, does it hold an edge terribly, terribly good? Probably not, but it does a real good job. Lord knows it'll cut you in a heartbeat. Go the wrong way with a straight razor. I don't care if it is dull; it'll hurt you. But the good news is that I'm to the point where I'm actually I don't hesitate anymore in picking up a straight razor. It's just pick one up, give myself a shave. Okay, let's go. It's a good thing. It's almost like I finally trained my left hand to do what it needs to do. For me, the whole issue with a straight razor is my right hand. I can get my right hand to hold the razor correctly at the right angle and go in the directions that I want it to go. I didn't have any problem with that. It wasn't an issue, and I could do that whether I was looking in a mirror or not, really. So yeah, I can. This one's for somebody who listens to the podcast every now and then. Yes, I can. Shave my cheeks. I'm not quite down to the point where I can do my neck, but I can shave my cheeks and my chin with my eyes closed with a straight razor. Every now and then you're about half asleep and kind of bleary, It's like, yeah, I can do that. Somebody accused me once of being a ninja shaver because I can. I had typically, and I always have. It's just one of those things. I can shave with a safety razor in the shower with my eyes closed, and I've done it for just years and years. I don't need a mirror. It's if you have one, great, but if you don't, who cares? And I'm getting to the point where I can almost do it by feel with a straight razor. So slowly but surely, I am becoming a Jedi master with one of the things. I figured another 30 years, But anyhow, the straight razor shaves. Okay, so I've been doing. I've been having a lot of success. 3-pass straight razor shaves with maybe a secondary touch up on the neck. So a 4th pass on the neck, and so it's really been good. The first one is straight down, straight down on the cheeks, on the neck, just everything is down. The second one is cross grain, and that was actually for me on the left hand side, with my right hand actually. Kind of coming across. That was actually one of the most, well, actually both hands really. That cross grain motion and getting the blade angle right and getting my hands in the mirror to just hold the blade in the correct orientation without tilting the blade up so that the angle is closer to 90 degrees perpendicular to your face instead of the correct angle. That was probably the hardest thing for me to master. It really was. It's that's where I had most of my nicks and cuts and stuff, was in a cross grain orientation pass. Now, and then finally I'll finish up with an against the grain pass, and that one bit me a few times way back when, but it's gotten to the point now where I'm very comfortable with an against the grain pass. Now, the against the grain pass on the neck, you want to talk about, when you first do it and when you first look at it, yeah, it's scary as heck. There's a reason they call it a cutthroat. Yeah, it's all good stuff, and slowly but surely. Now, the thing is that for me, the part that was always the mystery is how I do a cross grain on my neck and underneath my jawline, because that was like, well, how the heck do you even do that? And I've had absolutely excellent success in kind of tilting your chin into your chest, and as you do that, the area under your neck kind of puffs out in like a double chin type situation there. You kind of force that, and you can shave cross grain fairly nicely. And I've had a lot of success with that. And that tip was sent in by a listener, and thank you for that, because it has been great success. So that's kind of where I am right now with the shaves. Now, the other thing that I've noticed with straight razors is the different widths of the straight razor, for me, make a difference. It's a little bit more, I don't know, comfortable, reassuring. I don't know, just something. It's easier for me to shave with a wider straight razor. I have my old case razor is a very narrow straight razor, and it's not difficult. It's almost like I find I can't visually see or feel or whatever the angle because of the width of the thing. And I'm sure that it's just like everything else. It's personal preference. I'm sure of that. Each person has their own abilities, likes, dislikes, ability to see, ability to understand in their head the angles of their hands and the positions of their hands and the angle of the razor. And, so on and so forth. So I'm sure it's personal preference, but that's kind of where I'm at. It has been an interesting journey. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those things where I never knew how to do that. I'd never considered it before, and I tried, and trying has led to some marginal success. To be able to tell people, I shaved with a straight razor this morning, and not have to worry about them kind of looking at you like, well, that's not a real good shave, is it? Or, geez, you're all cut up or something like that. No, it's, I shave with a straight razor. It's, I am able to do that. And for a lot of people, when they look at you and you tell them that, they look at you a little differently. And I find that curious. I find that interesting. I find that, kind of motivational because, I like to be just a tad different. It's kind of one of the fun things in life. It's if you have a choice of going around as an ordinary person or as Kermit the Frog, I'd rather be Kermit the Frog. He's unique. He's an individual, and I'd rather be that type. I'd rather be unique and an individual, somebody who others look at and go, wonder why he walks around with just a little bit more of an air of, confidence than most. It looks like it's on. Am I on? Can you hear me now? Anyhow, it is a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, blue sky, sunshine, wonderful day here in South Carolina. Wonderful weekend. Great stuff going on. Cleaned up around the yard. Golly, I'm so sore. Took the cover off the pool, got the pool up and running. It's like, oh my goodness, what a bunch of work. The good news is that the payoff is a nice pool to enjoy as it gets hot and humid during the summer, which is, really, really nice. That way you can be out there for a while working the yard until it's just miserable and then jump in the pool and all of a sudden it's, nice again. Anyhow, the shaves of the day. This week I have been spending with my straight razors. Now, you got to understand something. My weeks go from podcast to podcast. I am not like a normal human being whose week is like Saturday to Saturday or Monday to Sunday or whatever. No, my week goes from Wednesday night to Wednesday night because, that's my podcast week. So I'm a little abnormal that way. Anyhow, this week I have been spending with my straight razors and have had an excellent time. And in fact, it's rather interesting because I made the decision to do a straight razor week about a week ago, as a matter of fact. And lo and behold, everything has just been kind of, surrounded by straight razors. I'll tell you about that later. Anyhow, the shave of the day for the last couple of days has been, my gold dollar, and I've also used my my case and just had a really good time. Now, it was interesting. Today I used my my gold dollar and just did a 2-pass shave, and not terribly exceptionally close or anything, but just a 2-pass shave. But I did spend a little bit more time nuancing, if you will, the neck area. And I think I've got that pretty good. There's just one little patch that may be an issue, and it's just one that I'm probably going to have to figure out how to deal with eventually. But for right now, I'm very satisfied. So I'm happy with that. I have used all kinds of soaps this week. Today I used some Toja. I use some Toja cream, and of course that just lathers just exceptionally well. It reminds me in the smell of Spike, but the tube is like twice the size. It's huge. It's like an economy-sized toothpaste tube. It's really good stuff. Smells great. Does a great job. Wonderful lather. But very, very nice. And like I said, it's got kind of that herbal smell that Spike has. And, when you buy a tube of Spike, yeah, it's good stuff too, but it's only about half the size of the Toja. And I was looking in one of my bins and happened to see that and decided, yeah, I'll use that. Snatched it up and away we go. So the brushes, yesterday I used some Cella. Hadn't used Cella in a while. Wonderful stuff. And, of course, I've also got some Razor Rock P160, but it's the thing that I was thinking about when I was using the Cella is I get a little irritation with the Razor Rock, but not with the Cella, which is just interesting. They both have that kind of almond extract smell, that almond oil smell, and that I really, really enjoy. But don't get the irritation with the Cella, at least for me. Now, some people don't get irritation at all, which is a good thing. But I get a little bit with the Razor Rock, so I have to use it sparingly or, go back to the Cella. So all good stuff, great shaves. It has been an interesting week with the straight razors. I have found that if I take my time, it's a good shave. I have found that if I rush, I'll nick myself from time to time. So having the time and the ability, I guess, to concentrate and focus, it does make you focus a little bit more than a double-edged or a single-edged. I found that over the course of the week, I concentrate on what I am doing. I don't have stray thoughts. When I shave using a double-edged or a single-edge, there are times when I'll think about what I got to do today. I'll think about the podcast. I'll just all kinds of stuff. Think about what kind of coffee I'm going to have. But when I am shaving with a straight razor, I find that I am concentrating pretty much solely on what I am doing, which is unique. It's not something that I have, I don't know that I would have noticed that as much or as readily if I hadn't been doing it for a week. Now, I'm sure that as you get better and get to the point where you have, gone 2 or 3 years of shaving with a straight razor every single day, that, your mind wanders and, it's just almost muscle memory at that point. I get that. But at this point in the journey, it's still not muscle memory. Oh, speaking of muscle memory, so I was doing an against the grain pass on the left side, and coming up where my sideburns are, and lo and behold, the blade was a little bit extended a little bit too far, and sure enough, touched my ear, and nice little ear nick. First one of those I've ever done. Luckily, it didn't bleed, at least not bad. It wasn't like some that no matter what you do, it will not stop. But so that was okay. It was just one of those curiosities more than anything else. I was like, never done that before. But all in all, it has been a great week. It really has. I do enjoy straight razors. So, I had mentioned that this was the week of straight razors. So I'm sitting there at work, and I get a text from one of the boys that were in the scout troop. He has since aged out after making Eagle Scout, and he texted me that he was interested in acquiring a couple of, how did he put it? Yeah, the way that he when he originally texted me, the way that he put it is, do you know where I can get my hands on a couple of open-faced shaving knives? And I chuckled. I texted him back, and I meant, you mean straight razors? And he wrote me back, and he said, yeah, I just Googled it. Yes, that's the appropriate name. So anyhow, I told him, that, you could, there's a wide gambit. I mean, you can spend $30 from a gold dollar all the way up to $1,000 for a custom, so there's a wide and great range, for straight razors. But what I told him is I said, yeah, you can get them for about $30 a piece. And he said, yeah, I'd like, let me know. And so I wrote to the stallion, and he sent me the pictures of the gold dollars that he had for sale, for offer. And I sent the pictures on, and the young man him and his buddy selected two of them. And I told him, I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and get them for you. And he said, yeah, we'll pay you back. And I said, if you want, I can even teach you how to use them, as much as I can teach anybody how to use a straight razor. But we'll give it a shot anyhow. And so that was the beginning. And the interesting thing is that I've also been lurking around here on the Facebook page, Wet Shaver. Boy, I can't speak today. It must be the traffic. Yeah, that's it. It's the traffic. I can't talk because of the traffic. And these bozos do not know how to drive. Oh my gosh. Wow. Anyhow, the Wet Shaver Enablers, buy, sell, and trade. I've been hanging out at that on that Facebook page, looking for things, or just looking at things. And I kicked myself a couple of times because I let a couple of really, really nice straight razors go. I just, I didn't jump on them, and I probably should have, because they were just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And so I have become more and more impressed with that page, because as I keep going back, there's more and more good stuff on it, and it's really nice. So I was on there, and lo and behold, I saw a couple of straight razors, and I went ahead and bought one off of the Wet Shaver Enablers buy, sell, and trade Facebook page, and so I've got that coming too. So it has been a week of straight razors. It really has, and it's just, I don't know. It's kind of curious and nice, and it's interesting. As much technology as there is in double-edged and single-edged razors, there is just as much crafting technology in the shapes and sizes and everything else of straight razors. And so, having spent a week and kind of, I don't know, thinking about straight razors, if you will, for a week, it's been an interesting experience. So I noticed, for example, that I've got two razors that are in need of being honed again. So I'll have to send those out and get them honed, and eventually I'll have to learn how to do it myself. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not good at that, at least not yet. So it's one of those things. It's you do your best, you try, but there you go. Anyhow, it has been an absolutely interesting week. I've enjoyed every single shave. I've enjoyed every conversation about straight razors that I've had, and yeah, it's been really, really great stuff. And it makes me happy. It truly does. It makes me happy, because back when I started the podcast, way back when, I was just getting into wet shaving with a double-edged razor, and then I found single-edge, and the straight razors were always, I don't know, kind of terrifying, kind of the pinnacle, kind of, that's where the, as much as we joke and kid about the royalty of wet shaving, it's those guys that use the straight razors. At least in my mind, that's what I thought. I mean, you had to be something special to use a straight razor on a consistent basis and do, get good shaves and everything else. I mean, that was territory that few people cross. That was like, at the pinnacle of the mountain. You climb up the mountain, and there's the monks' village, if you will, the castle up all the way up at the top with the Shaolin monks, and they're the ones that use the straight razors. It was that kind of a thing. It was, those were the true artisans and craftsmen of the wet shaving hobby, if you will. And now, after, I don't know, probably about a year of messing about with straight razors, I'm at least at the doorway. I haven't entered the city yet, and anything like that. But I'm at least at the doorway, and it has been something that I never imagined myself being able to do. So it is really, it's really cool. I mean, it's as exhilarating as when I got good with a double-edged razor and realized that, this gave a better shave and I could do this, and it wasn't scary, and it wasn't awkward, and I didn't cut myself, and I mean, it was exhilarating, absolutely exhilarating. When you're new in the hobby and you pick up that razor for the first time, and you have that bit of trepidation because it's something new and it's something different, and that's how I felt for a good bit of this week, off and on. But at the same time, there was a calmness about it, because, well, I did know what I was doing, and I had been doing it for a while successfully, and so yeah, this part of the journey has been, well, fun. It truly has. It is kind of reinvigorated a certain aspect of joy in the hobby, and I look forward to continuing. I also look forward to getting back to my double-edged and single-edged. I mean, those things are great too. It's interesting when something as simple as a morning shave can cause an attitude to shift, to skip a beat and look forward to what's next. As I drive down the road in an amazing amount of traffic, really, for this time of year and this time of day, it's like, what the heck? Where'd all these people come from? Surely they haven't all just moved in the last week. This is, well, rather incredible. Anyhow, I'm driving down the road and sipping on some absolutely excellent Brazilian coffee beans from Sweet Maria's that I roasted up this weekend because, well, I was out. It was to the point where I was actually, drinking coffee out of a Keurig. Ugh. Yeah, it's that's when it's time to roast coffee beans. Well, it's one of those things. You get busy, you get in a hurry, you run out of coffee beans, and you wake up late a few mornings and have stuff in the afternoon to do, and it's just you get busy. Anyhow, so we roasted up some coffee beans, and I went ahead and roasted up a whole half pound. Really did an excellent job. It's just I enjoy roasting my coffee beans. The cast iron pan and a little stir stick and just watching them change from kind of a light green to a kind of light brown, and then a little bit more of a golden brown as they enter into the first crack that sounds like popcorn popping, and then they start to darken up a little bit more, and about that time is when the smoke starts coming off, and the smoke, most people would think, ooh, that's got to smell good. Well, it's smoky and it's woody and it's just, there's a little bit of a coffee flavor to it, but it's more just smoky and acidic, and it's not terribly pleasant unless you just get whiffs of it, and then it's okay. But as the smoke emanates, the beans start to darken and get a little bit darker, and you continue to stir, because at this point now the secret to an even roast is stirring. And so as the first crack finishes up and the popcorn sounding pops get less and less, then it starts to quiet down, and as things darken and smoke emanates, you start to hear what sounds like Rice Krispies after you've poured on the milk, which is in fact the second crack. And the beans start getting darker and darker, and then they start to get an oily sheen on them, as if the oil is emanating out of the bean itself and finally coming to the surface, and exuding its goodness, and in fact that is what it's doing. And the second crack is where the interior structure of the bean is actually fracturing and coming alive and allowing things to open up and allowing the oils and fragrances to actually come out, and the smoke gets heavier and thicker and hiding all of the goodness within the coffee as the smoke emanates. And finally it gets to the level of roast that you want, and you pull the pan off of the burner, and you spread the beans out on a cookie sheet so that they can give up the last bit of their smoke as they cool down, and then they sit there. And they sit there and they cool and they glisten in the sunshine. And finally it's time to eliminate the chaff, pouring it back and forth between a strainer and a soft breeze as the chaff goes flittering away, and you're left with nothing but pure, rich, fresh roasted coffee bean. And another beautiful day, springtime day, here in South Carolina. The shave of the day today was pretty good. This time I used a Razor Rock P160. Wanted to try it out again, haven't used it in a while, and so wanted to see. Did get just a couple of small, blotches is more the term, of redness on my cheeks, but that was about it. So there is some sensitivity. I may have to throw this on the for sale sign there and see what get something that I don't have an irritation to. But the shave was good. Used my my Brush and Soap and Blade Nathan Clark 2015 brush, beautiful badger brush. Does an excellent job, absolutely superb, and lathered up a nice, thick, luxurious lather. And off to the races we went. And this morning, the races were, since this is a straight week, the races were my case straight razor, my little itty bitty thin case straight razor. But that's okay because I got it at a good price. Somebody gave it to me. It was a long time ago, but yeah, somebody gave it to me, and I enjoy that. So, every now and then you get one, and there's some sentiment attached to it. You can always go out and buy things and stuff, but it's the little things. The guy picked it up at a yard sale, knew I was into razors, so it's like here, and you appreciate those things. All of a sudden, there's an attachment to that particular item that is, well, maybe just a little bit more so than everything else. Everything else can be replaced. This one, well, maybe not so easily, because while you can replace the item all day long, you can't replace the emotion, and so that's kind of cool. So anyhow, used the case and did a 3-pass shave and did very, very nicely. Didn't do too bad at all. Had to go a touch-up pass against the grain on one of my cheeks, just because for some reason the first against the grain pass didn't get it all. So okay, fair enough. That's okay. We can do that. We've got plenty of lather left, and well, just a minute of time, and voila, taken care of. So good stuff. The nice thing is that at this point I'm not. It's really curious, because when I first started off, okay, when you start off with the straight razor, you kind of stick to the flat surfaces. You kind of going with just one direction, and it's like, okay, we can do this. We can do this without slicing our faces off. This is good. Then you move into maybe a different direction, across the grain or cross grain or against the grain or something. But you attempt in a different direction, and there's a couple of things going on. First off, you're using. Most people are either right-handed or left-handed. Well, with a straight razor, you kind of have to be ambidextrous. You have to use both of them. And depending on how long you've been both right-handed and or left-handed, there's some muscle memory there that, your brain is not used to working your other hand in the same way. So there's a training period there, and I'm just about convinced that that is a big part of the game, is to teach your other hand to obey the commands. You know what you want to do. You just have to figure out how to get your hand to hold the razor blade in that orientation and then, make a stroke or a pass in the direction that you desire. Of course, it's also complicated by the fact you're looking in a mirror and blah, 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 but, you get the idea. It's really the training, if you will, of getting your arm, your hand, and everything to function appropriately. I'm just about convinced of that. It's kind of the same way to a certain extent with double-edged razors, but it's less, well, let's just say critical. Because if you screw up with a double-edged razor, the likelihood of taking a chunk out or a slice off is, well, fairly minimal. However, if you screw up with a straight razor in your hand, there is a very high probability that you are going to end up with some blood leaving your body. It's just one of those things. So, a little bit higher stakes, but at the same time, that's what makes it so much, more worth it. When you finally achieve it, you walk out and go, dang! And so it's kind of it's kind of the mystique. It's kind of fun. So anyhow, we went ahead and did the 3-pass with some touch-ups with the Case straight razor. Had a nice shave, finished it off with some fine platinum, and off to the races we go. So another beautiful day. Went downstairs and made up some absolutely glorious Brazilian coffee that I roasted fresh this weekend. So fresh roasted, fresh ground Brazilian coffee. Good stuff. Yeah. If you're looking for a very nice and tasty caffeine delivery system, roasting your own beans is a great way to go. One of the things that I've always said is, I can make a brew fairly dark or light or whatever. Typically when people have coffee and they put a little bit of sugar in it or a little bit of cream in it, it's usually because the coffee is bitter, and a lot of people add the sugars and the creams and things like that to offset the bitterness to their liking. Now, the thing that has always amazed me with fresh roasted, fresh ground coffee is the fact that there is no need for sugar. There is no need for cream because there is no bitterness. There is none. It's really, really amazing. It's just, I've tried long extraction times, short extraction times. It really doesn't matter. I've really, I've never run into bitterness. Now, the thing is that when I go and get coffee at like a restaurant or, sometimes at work on the coffee machines there, you can taste the bitterness. Even if I brew a batch up fresh, and what they have fresh ground, but it's been roasted and then, been in a bag or whatever, and it's been sitting around for God only knows how long. Between the warehouse, the distribution, there before you dump it in the grinder. I mean, there's potentially a long time between the roasting event and the grinding event. And that time lag is what induces bitterness. And so there you go. It's just, God, I love coffee. It's good stuff. It really is. Now, the funny thing is I enjoy it in a very simple form. I enjoy black coffee. I typically make it with now with my AeroPress. actually take a sip there. Oh, that's good stuff. Anyhow, I typically, at this point, make it with my AeroPress. I was making it with a French press, but the AeroPress does such a nice job. It's so clear. So good stuff. But, grind it up, throw it in the AeroPress, throw some hot water on top of it, let it sit for a minute, and push it out, and add a little bit more water to top off the volume, and away we go. And that's about as much thought as I put into it. I don't measure the amount of beans. I don't measure the temperature of the water. I don't know. That gets. I like the idea. I like all of it, but it's just, if it gets too finicky, it's kind of like, why do I want to do that again? It becomes more of a nuisance when, at the end of the day, all I want is the coffee goodness that comes out the other end. And it's kind of like shaving to a certain extent. I put some thought into it, but a lot of times, quite honestly, I'll just rummage through my drawers and say, okay, what hits my fancy today? Which soap do I want to use? And out of my small assortment of brushes here, which brush wins the day? And let's see, which razor and which blade combination, or which straight, And I just start, picking and choosing and gathering, and it's just I would like to say that there's, a lot of thought and contemplation that goes into it, so that I can do a show and talk about these particular nuances of. No. I'm more of the grab and go type guy. Oh, well, it is what it is, right? The good news is that so far I've been able to accomplish a very nice shave every morning, and most mornings I enjoy good coffee too. So it must be working well. Anyhow, it's been an interesting journey, as it always is. One of the things that I noticed on Facebook the other day was somebody talking about lathering, and the fact that they were having issues and problems lathering, and I chimed in, and so I'll throw out what I have seen, witnessed, and experienced in my own ways with lathering. Okay, first off, one of the problems that I've seen with lathering, and I saw this with my son the first time out, is he wasn't loading the brush well because he was afraid to put any pressure on the brush. He was brushing like he was taking light paint strokes, very light paint strokes. I mean, it was that, level of pressure on the brush. And what I have found is that, a little bit more pressure on the brush helps. Kind of like if you're painting and you run into a knot in the wood and you have to get the paint down into the knot, in order to make it look good. And so you kind of push the brush down into the knot in order to distribute the paint. It's kind of like that pressure. Not exactly, but kind of like that pressure. It's not just the light stroke on the surface. It's got some oomph to it. So, that's one. Number two is he was doing the same thing when he was bowl lathering. He was not putting pressure on the brush. Here I actually put just a little bit more pressure on the brush. If you've soaked your natural fiber knot, whether it be boar or badger, the bristles are really, really flexible and can withstand that kind of pressure without breaking, snapping off, or anything like that. So, don't be terribly scared of it. The other thing that I've seen is people having issues with water. Hard water will make lathering much more difficult. Now, personally, I am blessed with just exquisitely soft water. Just really exquisitely soft water. And so I typically do not have issues with lathering. However, if you have a question of hard water or soft water, you can get yourself a test kit. And in fact, one of the test kits, I had a link on my blog way back when. I don't know if it's still active, but I'm sure there's other companies around. But this was a free test kit that I got in the mail, and it was for a company that sold water softeners. Because they want you to find out if you have hard water, and then if they can help you with a water softener, they would, well, be more than happy to do that. So it's, for the cost of advertising and everything else, it's, for them, it's a good deal. And, for us, it's a good deal because we can find out if we're dealing with hard water or soft water. So if you don't know, you might want to, get a test kit, either a freebie or go out and buy one or whatever, but get a test kit to find out the level of your water hardness, because it can make a difference. Again, if you have exceedingly hard water, it may have, you may end up having issues getting a good lather. Okay, so then the next thing is water. Some people put too much water in. Some people don't put enough water in. Now, it really, there's a judgment thing that comes, but it comes easier with experience. Okay, so first off, let's talk about brushes a bit. A synthetic brush will not retain hardly any water at all in the bristles. So that's probably the one that you're going to have to add the most water to. However, you got to keep in mind that being a synthetic brush, you're also going to have potential, if I look at the gambit of brushes, you're going to have potential loading issues because most synthetics don't have the backbone of a badger or a boar brush. So you may have some loading issues, But when it comes to water, anyhow, the synthetic doesn't retain water. A boar brush, like my Samog or the Vanderhagen that I used to have, it will retain some water, and by that I mean that there will be water in between the bristles that will be accessible to the soap. And then what I found with my badger brushes is that because the bristles are finer, it retains more water in the bristles that's available to the soap, and so I have to add just, a little bit less. Now, for me, the difference between the boar and the badger, if I shake the brush out, and when I say shake it out, I give it one good hard flick into the sink, and the majority of the water is gone out of the thing. The difference between the boar and the badger is pretty hard to distinguish. Okay, for those two, I generally, what I will do is shake the brush, give it that one good shake to get the majority of the water out of it, load the brush up, and then what I'll do, and this just kind of goes back to, when I was dealing with creams and everything else, I'll swirl the stuff around, I'll load the brush, swirl it around in the bowl. And so if I have creams, I'll put a dollop of cream in the bottom of the bowl, and then I'll swirl it around. And what that does is evenly distribute it around the bowl. That way it doesn't pack up into the brush, and it's a little bit more accessible to the water. And I just seem to get a better lather faster. So that's what I do. Now, for the synthetic, or for the synthetic, I'll do the same thing, and I'll add 2 teaspoons of water. Sometimes 1.5, but usually around 2 teaspoons of water. Now, notice I said teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons, the small one. And I actually have a teaspoon measure that I've had at my sink for about a year. And I seem to get a very nice lather that way with a synthetic. Now, with a natural fiber, either a badger or a brush, or a badger or a brush, a badger or a boar, I'll add 1 teaspoon. And that seems to give me about the right consistency, a little bit thicker, and I've gone to a little bit thicker lathers here in the last, 6 months or so. It'll take up to a 1.5, 2, somewhere in there, and be just fine. It's just sometimes I've just found I enjoy it just a little bit thicker here of late. So start off there. The thing that I've seen and that I've read about and heard about is people not shaking the water out of the brushes. And so they start off with basically a sopping wet brush. And when you do that, your brush does not load well, because instead of the soap going up into the brush, it kind of stays, the water flows out of the bristles and kind of washes the soap that it would normally pick up back into the container, the soap container. So you may not be getting a real good load that way. So that's kind of what I've seen as far as lathers. And the guy that wrote the original post, I felt for him, because in my opinion, everybody should have decent lathers in the morning. It's if I could wave a magic wand and sprinkle some pixie dust, that's what I would wish on the world. It's call it my step toward world peace. Anyhow, that's get the water right, load the brush correctly, put enough pressure on the brush when both loading and lathering, and make sure you have the right type of water. Speaking of water, if you don't, you can get a bottle of distilled water for like $1.50, something like that, a gallon of it, and you're talking not much water at all, so that you use each time. So Now the other thing that I've seen, this is another one, a new brush that is not clean, a new brush that has processing oils in it and things like that in it, and to be quite honest, I have gotten the best luck for cleaning new brushes and getting oils and things off of them with Neutrogena Acne Wash. It is a mild soap with a slight acid content that is designed to break down oils. On your skin. And I've actually had exceedingly good luck. And I had one brush that when I bought it, I lathered it up a couple of times, or at least attempted to lather it up a couple of times, let it sit, trying to get the smell the way I wanted it and everything, and rinsed it all out, cleaned it all up, and thought, okay, here we go. And tried to lather it up, and it was like nothing. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I'm like, what the hey? And so I took it and I cleaned it with Neutrogena, the Neutrogena Acne Wash. One application, just basically lathered it up with that stuff, rinsed it out, let it dry, and the next lather was, beautiful. It really was. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was like it was meant to be. It's like, okay, I think I understand what's going on here. Because there's some oils and things like that, either through processing or just natural animal oils or whatever in the fibers. Okay, I get that. And those oils will break down soap very, very quickly. And so that may be another issue. So make sure your brushes are clean as well. So that's about it on the front of lathering. It's just kind of some tips and maybe some tricks, I don't know, and at least from my experience. And again, that's what makes this hobby so much fun, is that, if anybody tells you they're an expert, yeah, okay, maybe, but I can at least tell you about my experience. And that's kind of nice, because there are a lot of people out there. We all have different experiences, and somewhere in there is the truth. I'm convinced of that. And but you just gotta go out and find and search and communicate and network and do things like that. Get on the forum, or not the forums, because I really don't like the forums. Get on like Facebook and Twitter and places like that, Instagram, and check things out, because you can gain a lot. I don't do much on the forums. I don't go to Reddit. I just don't. There's stuff that goes on there that I'd rather not be a part of, nor do I really have the time. So there you go. Anyhow, that's what makes this community great, is there's a lot of people out there that are more than willing to share experiences with folks. And in that sharing, you can pick up tidbits and things of interest that can help you. And, that's what we were at one time doing with our fathers by watching them shave and, talking to them and having them teach us and things like that. And, at least for me, that didn't necessarily occur. And so, having the outlet of other hobbyists in the wet shaving community to be able to share back and forth, kind of taken the place of that, and has made it an experience that is well worth having. So, all right, so there we go. That's it. Shave of the day, some tidbits on lathering, and, I don't know, just some reflections, I guess. And so there you go. Have a good day, and have a great shave, and we'll see you next time. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at BrushnSoapnBlade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at BrushnBlade. You can also visit us at our blog, BrushnSoapnBlade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.